Okay, hello. So we'll be going through the basic controls of the walls software of BalloonBuilder.com. And the basic controls are quite similar in the top panel that are also visible in the, if you already saw the columns and arches software, the controls are pretty similar. So we have the hide extra controls, so extra controls button over there. You can enable the tooltips, you can change theme color. And if tooltips are enabled, you will see explanation of what every control does when you click them. So let's start from the left side. So grid numbers. So you have a wall design over there visible. And if you click grid numbers, you will see the number of grids, grid in horizontal and vertical orientation over there. Then you can show color labels like in columns also. Right now we haven't yet colored any of the balloons, so it doesn't show anything. We can take a look at that later. And then also show size labels. So if you have more than one size balloons in the wall, you can always enable the show size label and it will tell you the exact size which is used in the image. Of course, you can then decide if you want to use exactly those sizes in the actual design you are making, but that's there. And then dimensions, if you want to see the size of the whole wall, you can enable the size labels over there. And then units, you can choose between inches and centimeters. I will stay at centimeters for now. Okay, then remove unused. We can take a look at that later, but it's there. And explode, if you want to explode the design in columns. We'll take these dimensions out. So you have each individual column basically separated, or you can reset that and explode into rows instead. And over here you can also, of course, enable the 3D view. Similarly to the columns, get the 3D view of the wall. And over here we have the modes. So Lincoln, grid, X pattern, then alternate size pack, duplet square pack, rotated duplet square pack, and then plus link wall by Colin Miles. And we have also few foil balloon wall options. So basic star pattern, star point, sorry. Then foil squares, the popular foil squares. And all these foil balloons are also actually 3D models of foil balloons, so they are quite realistic. And then another is the Grabo 24-inch square, which is a little bit different. It is not pure metallic so we have that separately to the foil 18-inch foil squares. So these are the options for now. We'll also be adding more foil balloon types over here, but right now we have those. And over here you can rotate the foil balloons 45 degrees to different orientation. For example, star points look a little bit different in this orientation. And then you can disable the fill holes, so it actually removes the filling pattern, so it's more hollow. Same works also for the square balloons. Change the size to a little bit smaller. So, and the interesting thing, if we go back to non-rotated mode and increase the height a little bit, for example 16, and then go to tunnel mode, it actually creates a tunnel. We can change the height of the straight wall. So now we have 2 layers perfectly straight, and then the actual curve starts from here and goes all the way to here. And then you can increase that more to get a more like a doorway. And also for foil balloons, you can of course change the color like for all the other balloons too. But if we go first through the the tunnel mode works also in latex balloons, so you can also use latex balloon tunnels. So Lincoln designs are working nicely in tunnel mode. Alternate size pack and duplet square pack are not currently using the tunnel mode. So if you go to duplet square pack, you can't see the tunnel mode. But if we take a look, for example, duplet square pack design, increase the size to quite large. So you can actually, if we take a look at, for example, assuming that we are using 5-inch rounds, the size is about 9 centimeters, going to inches. See, dimensions now, it's about 4 meters times 4.5 meters with 9 centimeter balloons. And the coloring of the design. So you can change the size of the wall, you can zoom in, zoom out, but the manual coloring is okay if you have only a few colors that you need to place. So coloring all the balloons with block paint, but actually I will also demonstrate the block paint in, for example, grid. So in block paint you can actually choose if you want to color all balloons or only link balloons or only round balloons. So if you take round only and then color, it will only color the round balloons, and then go to link balloon, choose another color and color those. So you get a 2-colored wall quite quickly. And then if we go back to Duplet square pack, to red color. And over here we have the reference image. So you can open, for example, Mona Lisa. The size of the image is quite large, so we need to scale it down a little bit. Let's go this way, and then it change the width to a little bit smaller and increase the height, for example, like so. And then we can enable the move by mouse and wheel zoom, so we can move the reference image, so we can place it nicely on top of the image, like so. Maybe zoom in a little bit. I don't want to include too much of the actual painting background for now. So it's there. Actually, reset all the colors first. It's not needed. You can do it with the colors in there, but it's more clear if we first remove those. So you can adjust the opacity of the image, reference image. So now it's on top of the balloons. You can also put it below the balloons. You can see the balloons over there. So if you want to manually color, you can manually color more easily by this way. But this time I will tune this down to 50%. And you can also rotate the image if you want. And you can adjust the brightness. I would still suggest that you do most of the possible adjustments you want to do for the image you do outside of BalloonBuilder, adjust the image colors and so on in image processing software. But over here you can still do them, like contrast adjustments. Increasing the contrast is usually good for balloon walls. And then you can go down in saturation, go to complete black and white, or increase the saturation. I think we like it quite neutral now. And over here, if you click reset sliders, all these will go to their default values. And you can also move the image by clicking these buttons, but I like to play with mouse, so it gives you more control. And the interesting part over here is that we can actually choose the color palettes: standard, pastel matte, pastel dusk, the basic like matte colors, excluding metallic, silk, satin, and crystal, reflex, and neon colors. So all the basic normal colors. And now if we click, actually I want to show this also in 3D at the same time. So now if we click automap, you have placed the image to a nice position, and click automap, you get all the colors mapped into the wall. And they are not just colors, but they are actually colors from the color palette. So you get the color of the exact balloon that is available, and the realistic replica of the wall over there. So if you increase the size of the wall even more, for example this way, and then go back to reference image, the scaling of the image in relation to the wall stays pretty much the same now. So we don't need to adjust anything, just click auto map and you get the auto map. So instead of hours of manual coloring all the individual balloons, you actually can just adjust the size, click, and it's a second, and it takes all the colors, and it's perfect every time. If you want to adjust the contrast, try again, you can do that. So playing with all these settings, fine tuning. If you want to have a little bit lighter colors, increase the brightness a little bit. And if you want to decrease the saturation, come out from matte colors, you can just go down in saturation, and that's it. It's super fast. And the lighting menu is identical to the columns. So you can just enable the spotlights if you want. You can increase, decrease the sunlight, ambient light, enable or disable the environment lights, and also change the focal length of the camera over here, and enable or disable the shadows. And when you have the image ready, you can still clear this out. I will take the grid numbers off. You can always adjust if you think that, okay, this color should be something else. So I want to have a white sky instead of this. Is probably now latte. So you can either click over here and choose gray and then color with gray. I will take the block paint off so it's clear. You can take the rosewood and just color all the balloons you want to be in rosewood color. Choose pastel matte yellow, just color with pastel matte yellow. You can just click, 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 or just paint continuously by moving your mouse with your button pressed. And another option is that you go to export list. If you feel that you want to replace one color, for example, latte color, you want to replace that completely with some other color, you click latte, and let's say you want to replace that with, for example, white sand. You just click white sand, and all the latte color balloons will now be colored white sand. And the same for all the other colors. If you feel that you want to have pastel matte nude and white sand the same color, you want to, for example, only use pastel matte nude, so click white sand and choose the pastel matte nude from there, and they are all replaced. And in the small table over here, you can see the total number of balloons and the number of balloons, then each balloon size that is used. So black balloons, in this case, we have all balloons the same size, so we only have round balloons. So the size and shape, it's more clear if I show grid. Let's take some design, for example, the same Mona Lisa design, just make it a little bit, oh, sorry, I need to open another image. This currently it keeps in memory the last used image, so if you try to open the same image immediately again, it will actually not open that image. So we have another Mona Lisa image over there, and just automap that one, and then we 3D. So you can see the resolution is not really good, but now you see the R5, R12, Lincoln 12. So you see all the types of colors, how many balloons of each type is used. So already at this point, if you know that you need to build something in certain time, you know that you can't use 2000 balloons, you can just design the wall size so that you have, for example, let's say 800 balloons max. So you can then try different designs and see what works best for which type of wall, which type of graphics. So all these work well with with the Automap. It does work basically also with foil balloons, but that's probably not really useful. You can Automap also foil balloon walls. So basically, if you want to really quickly show your client some logo or something, you don't need to click. You can also open the logo and see, adjust the position so that it gives nice placement also for foil wall, and just click Automap and then fine tune all the settings. But of course, we don't have this many foil balloon colors available anywhere, so that's not so realistic. Okay, what else? Did I forget something? Okay, Lincoln walls. If you go back to here, we'll just reset all the colors first and remove the reference image. So what you have over here, in addition to the color palette, we have actually something called split. So we can actually split all our round balloons in Lincoln designs, so that instead of one, you can split all large balloons into 4 smaller balloons. So you can see what happens over here. So instead of one 12-inch round, you actually have 4 5-inch rounds. So if you want to increase the resolution also in Lincoln wall, you can do that. But over here, the calculation of balloons is a little bit tricky, because you probably don't want to have the split balloons on both sides, but you would like to have a 12-inch round on the back side. So we need to probably modify this a little bit, but anyway, this is one way you can increase the resolution and still use Lincoln wall. And you can also do the same for 5-inch rounds, but this is more useful for larger rounds. If you click here, it resets back to default, and all the split balloons go back to normal. And of course, if you have colored the wall and you want to reset all the colors to none, you can do that. One thing that I want to show you still is, if you, for example, let's take black, just zoom out a little bit, and then color all the Lincolns. Actually, I think I want to color all balloons. Yes, let's go with all balloons to black. Then choose from palette. At the top of palette, we have this none. So we can actually remove colors. So it's like an eraser. So it takes away the color. Choose the balloons that you want to remove the colors from. Like so, and then actually take, now I can choose the black color from here, and then color a few more balloons black, like so, for example, like that. So now it's like a T letter, and if you refresh, you can see that the other balloons look more like very light gray. But if we click remove unused, it will remove all the balloons that are colored none. So now we actually have the single layer Lincoln wall with the T shape. but now we can enable the double wall, and this gives us extra layer, and also the placement of round balloons is changed so that they are now inside over there. So this is one way you can actually create also sculptures using the walls. And the same goes also over here. If you want to open the background image, you can choose background image and zoom in, increase the size of the T, and let's rotate so that it matches the wall. Like so. Then you can export the image with the background or without the background. Yes, now I think I have shown all the features. We have also translations. These are currently automatically translated, so there are probably some funny translations because I don't speak Spanish or German. So you can try out, and maybe it helps if there's something you don't understand. You can try another language. It may help. Those will be updated later, but for now, these are just automatically translated. So if you want to help in translation, let me know. I'd be happy to discuss about the possibility. And yeah, one more thing that's over here that I forgot to mention earlier. So you can actually change the size of each of the round balloons. You can do that individually by choosing left click, size mode on. Now if you go to here and just left click a balloon in, oh sorry, this block paint is enabled, so I need to disable that, then it works. So now if you click the 5-inch rounds, it will increase the size, and also you can increase the size of all the round balloons. So for example, R5 balloons to 24. So you can see now the size of all the so-called small, so R5 balloons are actually now R12 balloons. And the nice thing about this is actually that you can, if you want to split the round balloons to smaller, so over here in the paint tools, so if you now want to split all the R5 balloons, the size increase also affects the small ones. So that's one thing. And if you take a look at the, let's see, I will open actually I need to disable the remove unused now, because nothing is shown over here when we have remove unused selected when we have not colored any balloon. Or I will show you what happens if I just randomly start coloring the wall. So you can see that you can actually just create these random balloons. Click, click, click over there and just refresh. You will only see the ones that are colored also in this way. But anyway, you can remove the unused, disable the remove unused, and then, for example, let's try this one. So just color all red, then let's color some balloons. Okay, sorry, I misclicked over there. So color yellow, and then maybe green. So we have a few different colors over there. And now if we enable the show color labels, you will see that these labels that are over here match with the labels in the image. And now if we use the explode and explode to columns, you can get the individual duplet square pack columns separated, and you can enable the grid numbers. So you see the grid numbers for each column and each row over there. And for this, in this case, the row numbers are not so relevant because they always are numbered by 2 layers over here. But now if we go to export, and okay, let's update this one also so you can actually see. So the explode does not affect the 3D image, it only affects the 2D. So export list, and you will see we have the options here to only export 2D image and the balloon table, or 3D image and the balloon table, or 2D and 3D images plus the table and just the table. So if you want only to get the number of balloons, this can do that. And then all, which also includes the grid. So for each individual column, we have a separate image, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All these are shown individually over there. And if you, for some odd reason, would like to explode this in another direction, which is in case of duplet square pack not really useful, but you can do that and then export. Then you can actually see that the grid view changes to rows instead of columns. Then you can export the 2D in 2 different resolutions or 3D in 2 different resolutions. Right now, the 2D exports are not vector files. I will probably change that to vector, at least for there should be an option to export in vector files so you can adjust the size of the image better. But for now, it's in PNG. And if, like in this case, you can see that the balloon table over here is covering part of the design. So you have an arrow over there to minimize this, and it will only show the number of balloons. So there's 512 balloons in the design in total. And if you want to open it, you just click again, it will show the colors. Okay, thank you. That was the quick overview of how BalloonBuilder walls looks like and how it works.